Thank you, Chairman Craig, for allowing me to present this bill before you and the other members of the Labor Committee. As this committee knows, Governor Raimondo's administration is proposing an increase in the minimum wage for all hourly workers from $9.60 to $10.50 an hour. The real effective rate when overhead and G&A are applied to the 90-cent increase is closer to $1.50 an hour. There is significant data that directly correlates that an increase in the minimum wage has a negative impact for those under the age of 20 years old. Some of the data is common sense. Employers are less willing to hire someone with no or very little prior work experience or less education. Businesses are in business to be profitable, and if non-market forces, in case legislation, increases the cost of doing business, then if that force does not increase profits, they are less likely to hire. Businesses also reduce hours and use technology and machinery to replace workers. In fact, I had a business owner of a national fast food franchise tell me recently that in 5 years, there will be a machine making sandwiches in a store. And just this week, the Connecticut House of Representatives passed a bill that will permit self-serving beer and wine stations. Increases in the minimum wage might accelerate the schedule. According to Stephen Moore, senior economic analyst, 16 to 19-year-olds often get priced out of the market when the minimum wage rises in states. From 2009 to 2013, 8 states had a minimum wage averaging $8 or higher. In those states, the teen labor force participation averaged 35.6%. Teenage unemployment averaged 27.2%. In the 31 states which did not exceed the federal level, the labor force participation rate was nearly 4 percentage points higher, 39.5%, and the unemployment rate was nearly 6 percentage points lower, 21.3%. These are big statistical differences. Low-paying jobs also provide invaluable workplace experience to teenagers who are just starting their careers. According to the Employment Policies Institute, high minimum wage rates hurts teens' chances at learning valuable life skills that cannot be taught in the classroom. When entry-level job hunters are able to find work, they earn more than just a paycheck. They learn valuable life skills like the importance of meeting deadlines, how to report to a manager, and how to get along with coworkers. These are lessons that are not taught in a classroom setting, and the job experience young employees acquire sets them up for future success with promotions and raises beyond the minimum wage. Simply said, it denies them the ability to learn important life skills that can only come from on-the-job training. There is also potential for unintended consequences of increasing the minimum wage that has an impact on our youth. Research from Northeastern University found that teenagers, especially those who are economically disadvantaged with no paid employment, are more likely to drop out of high school, become involved with the criminal justice system, and to become pregnant. There's a lot more supporting data that an increase of the minimum wage by 90 cents will have a negative impact on those under 20, but due to time constraints, I will not delve into that data. I will provide the data to any members upon request. Okay, on to my bill. There are 19 states that have some form of youth minimum wage or training wage already. Some of the states have a wage set for a period of hours or days worked, and then the wage shifts upwards. At least 9 states have a youth opportunity wage below the state's minimum wage based on age in perpetuity through the use of a formula. Bill H5594, an act related to labor and labor relations minimum wage, amends the current law by capping the minimum wage to $9.65 per hour for those under 20 years old. The bill will increase the minimum wage by 5 cents for those under 20. This bill will also give businesses a break from a broad brush increase in the minimum wage and, as previously stated, not negatively hurt those under 20 years old from being able to be employed. I respectfully request the committee pass this bill. Thank you very much.
Any questions for the sponsor? Yes, Representative Mills.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Rep. I do get your point with, you know, the minimum wage in youth employment. I just want to run a scenario by you and see how this would apply. Let's say you have a young couple in high school who, they, you know, the gentleman would say impregnates the female at 18 years old or something like that, and they decide to not go to college. Wouldn't we be handicapping that couple if the father wants to provide for the family and go to work? Now he's starting off at a lower minimum wage than the rest of the population at 18 years old, when he's just trying to provide for his family.
Well, that's a good question, Representative Nunes, and it's important to think that it doesn't mean that an employer can't pay more than that. And I think from meeting with some businesses that they do pay more than that. So I don't think necessarily, you know, it's up to the employer to choose to increase the wage or not. So it's not saying that it can't go up and it's frozen at that rate. It's up to the employer as to whether to. And there are employers who will say, look, finding quality individuals, we will pay more, without a doubt.
And the other question I have for you in relation to the process here is that the other states that do have some type of a restriction or a tiered wage, do they use the 20-year age or do they use a younger age for the?
There are some that are set at under 20 or under. And one I'm looking at is Iowa. And there are some, and you'll hear that there's other youth opportunity wages where it's set up for, you know, you work X amount of hours, X number of months, and then it goes. And some of that's based on the federal wage, and not even on the state wage we hire.
I feel like there should be some type of an exception for those. You know, it is conceivable that you could have somebody who's a primary breadwinner who's under the age of 20. If, you know, say the wife is home or the girlfriend, whatever it is, you know, they could have possibly unplanned pregnancy, and then the father goes to try to provide for the family, and it seems like this, without some type of exception for a situation like that, it seems like they may be handicapped.
This just opens it up to discussion. So if we feel that maybe that number should be 18, but clearly it's showing that the kids who are 15 and 16 years old, they have a less of an opportunity to get a job. Become a girl.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Representative, I was a little confused looking on the bottom of your bill here, and it says on line 17, commencing January 1st, 2016, the minimum wage is $9.60. And the new language shows on this coming January 2018, the new minimum wage will be, for those under 20, $9.65. Are you anticipating an increase in the general minimum wage, or are you trying to preempt it? I don't understand what the...
No, that isn't exactly what we anticipate.
So if we don't have an increase in the minimum wage,
then we pull the bill.
your legislation would...
Then we pull this bill.
Okay. All right, thank you, Chairman.
Well, if the minimum wage right now is in the governor's budget, so we're going to pass the governor's budget before we look at some of these other bills through finance, right?
There's a lot of things in the governor's budget that aren't going to pass.
But following the process, this will come after that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I just have a concern with the employer. What's to prevent him from hiring someone at 16 and then laying them off at 19 and continue to do that to save some money? Because I've seen it happen.
Well, Rep, I've heard, I've had a lot of people, light up my Twitter feed, and people who haven't really done research to show that. If employers want good quality employees, and if they find a good quality employee, they are not going to let them go because of a minimum wage shift up or down. They're going to keep that employee because it's hard for them to find quality employees. At least that's the feedback I'm getting from the business community.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions to the sponsor? Oh, sorry. Representative Reardon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, can I be recorded on the previous votes?
Yes.
Yes, and me as well, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Clerk, please record the votes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
But I appreciated Rep. Newton's articulation of the ways that this could hurt young people who are trying to get in the workforce and have may have very real economic needs. And I have a concern on the other end. Walk me through your response to the scenario of I have a family, I am above this age, I am a breadwinner, as we know many minimum wage workers are adult breadwinners for their families. This passes, and my employer looks at the numbers, sees that they can save a lot of money, lets me go, and then hires a younger person to take my job. And so now my family is out on a limb.
Look, I've looked at the data, and, you know, there was data that was put together a few years ago about Rhode Island, the demographics of Rhode Island, and it showed the breakout as to, you know, how many people were actually breadwinners, and it's a very small percentage. And I think that you're missing that a business. It's very important. I work for a company. It's difficult to find good employees. And when you find them, you retain them. And I think to think that a business is going to just let someone go who's, you know, making above a certain amount to rehire someone who doesn't have any of the skills that they desire just doesn't make really good business sense to me at all.
I would just really push back against the idea that it's a small percentage of minimum wage workers who are, you know, adult breadwinners. The numbers that I've seen show that it's a very significant.
For Rhode Island.
In Rhode Island, there's a lot of families out there who are struggling to get by based on the minimum wage.
And I would respectfully disagree that the data, I can certainly share the data to you and the committee members that show the pie chart and the breakdown of it.
That'd be helpful. Any further questions? Yes, Representative Mendonca.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just don't see how you can treat different age groups differently. I mean, we do have the minimum wage for, what is it, under 16? Is that how it is? They get, under 18? Is it what? Under 16? Okay. But I think after that, you have to treat everybody equally. I mean, I think you have an equality problem here.
I think if you look at the data, what happens is the amount of jobs shrink.
Well,
And I understand it, and it, you know, increasing the minimum wages sounds good, but the reality is the unintended consequences is the amount of jobs shrink. And that makes it harder for the kids who are trying to make it, who are just, you know, trying to get out at the age of 16 to get a job.
I get what you're trying to say, but I think you have a legal problem here with discriminating against age groups.
Well,
It's not allowable.
there are other states that have it. So if it's unconstitutional, then that goes beyond me. Then that would be the Attorney General's office or a higher office to determine that. But there are other states that do have a youth opportunity wage.
Any further
Thank you.
questions of the sponsor? Great, thank you.